Forsberg, who has seen competition already. And Chris Forsberg earlier on, he went against Kyle Domenis Mohan, and Kazuya Taguchi will lead, given that #1 qualifying position. So they did complete their sight laps. They got a little bit of a feel. Here goes Kazuya Taguchi in that first outside zone. The lights are on, and there it is. How is the smoke going to affect the drivers as well? Maybe it's minimized due to the wet conditions. Very smooth by Kazuya Taguchi. You see Chris Forsberg get into that pocket. Could be a little bit deeper here, but great proximity and really mimicking that angle. Looks like he drops back a little bit, but then slides in. Kazuya Taguchi deep in that last outside zone. Keep in mind the red and white rumble strip on outside zone 4. If you hit that, you're off course. So take that into consideration. Has taken out some wheels and some body kits in previous rounds in both Pro Spec and Pro, Ryan.
Well, one of the things that we're seeing here is you can still see the patchiness of the course, but there is a lot of tire smoke being generated. What we're noticing is the speeds are down. But Kazuya Taguchi, for some reason, has really locked into this course. He looked tremendous in practice. He had that #1 qualification, and right here, right on the outside zone 3. Forsberg, a veteran, knows what to do, backs off in the right place, loses a little bit of proximity to him, but Taguchi has been setting the standard all weekend long, and now they will mix things up as Chris Forsberg will take the lead.
Yeah, I think you said that properly, Ryan. Just Kazuya Taguchi, he just has laser focus right now. You can see the accelerometer there. You know, both of them are firing off green. Watch this. Chris Forsberg almost makes contact when he goes from 3 to 4. Look at that. Whoop.
Yeah, real veteran.
Yeah, that was solid. And you see, he does. You know, the outside zone 4 does evade him.
Yeah.
But I think that was, again, just that compromise of like, look, I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you that proximity. A lot of drifting fans out there. Where are my Forsberg fans at? Make some noise. Where are my Taguchi fans at? Make some noise. All right, so here we go. Let's alternate up. Chris Forsberg will now lead. Kazuya Taguchi giving chase. Chris Forsberg would love to play spoiler to Kazuya Taguchi going back to back. He says Ichiban, but Chris Forsberg wants to be numero uno himself. Going for, you know, we have three-time champions here. Unfortunately, James Dean is out, but Frederick Aasbo, Norwegian Hammer, still in. We're about to send it here. Again, our first battle of our Royal Purple Top 16. All right, looks like we got a restart. A cone was hit by Chris Forsberg. That is strike 1 for Chris the Force Forsberg. Yeah, there we go. Here is our top 10 standings after qualifying. So Matfield leads the pack. You can see pretty significant there, 41 points overall. Keep in mind, 100 points for first. Frederick, Aasbo, and Chelsea, they are a tie. James Dean out. So that's going to shake things up in 32. And then you got Odi Bakchis, Turk. Rome is out as well. You got Chris Forsberg is in it, and Dylan who's in it. So again, there's a lot of points at stake here. I mean, keep in mind, yeah, we're in 5th round, but that means there's 412 points total.
Right.
Or no, sorry, 409 points total. Right. So if you're on a tear, it could be still anybody. Here we go. Chris Forsberg. Looks like we got a clean start. Forsberg initiates. NOS entering. Nissan Z and Kazuya Taguchi tucks into the smoke. Here goes Chris. Big angle there from Forsberg. And oh, look at that. Kazuya Taguchi falls back. It has been absolutely flawless. But again, it might have hurt him as he's been sitting on the bench waiting to do battle with that #1 qualifying position. And Kazuya Taguchi gets inside of him. All right, so
oh boy.
Yeah, so we expected this. We expected contact going off of Pro Spec, going off of 32. Was Kazuya too aggressive? Was Forsberg kind of, you know, rolling slow through there? Let's take a look here.
Yeah, I think there may be a scenario here. I mean, the run is over, the battle is over, but watch Taguchi here in the chase position. Right here, he completely misses outside zone 2, almost kind of has to reinitiate. I think that maybe some judges would even consider that very, very close to an incomplete. But as he's trying to make up ground here, you can see they get into this very last section of outside zone 4. There's contact there, and the run stops. And of course, this white line that Taguchi is on right there, Jared, is the finish line. That's different from previous years. Here it is once again. You can see Forsberg gets back to green, and Taguchi was at a really big closing pace. However, I did see one of the judges put their arm up in the air and make a 0 symbol near outside zone number 2.
Ryan, we're going to be utilizing these decel lights, I believe, here through the night. Accelerometers break it down. Green, you got positive G's. red you got negative Gs, and then the yellow, and there's also a color blue.
Yeah, and the red is our definition of a decel. It's a proprietary number that we have that nobody knows. So when you see it go to red, that is the definition of what we call a visual decel. It means that it should be able to be seen by the human eye. When you get the gradients of yellow, that's just going to be slowing down before you get to that decel.
And here we go. It's
Dylan Hughes.
Yeah, and again, Dylan won in very wet conditions. He's from the Pacific Northwest. He knows how to rally race. He was at Dirtfish, so he knows how to slide a car for sure. But Chelsea Denofa turns it up to 11. How is he going to handle here in the wet conditions? Here we go, that royal purple BMW. Chelsea Denofa right there to the side. Let's see how they handle that. Again, you talked about the transition. 1 to 2, and Chelsea lets him on by and then just drops into formation. Dylan the Dozer Hughes, quick little correction, those 4-star wheels in outside zone 3, and Denofa pushes hard. So again, talking about those decel areas, where we're at, what's going on. So again, going into outside zone 3, I mean, I'll tell you what, Denofa just let him quickly on by and bang, got right back to his door from outside zone 2 to 3. Was, again, here we are. Is it a case of being too aggressive? Did, again, Dylan the Dozer Hughes, did he check him up? Did he slow down? Was it something awkward? And this is why we slowed down once again.
Well, we always know that Denofa is going to give 110%. Right out of the gate, he falls into the inside of outside zone 1. He transitions really well, super tight right here on Dylan Hughes. Hughes accelerating to outside zone 3, and as he leaves that zone, he angles up incredibly, and it looks like Denofa really didn't have anywhere to go. That's my personal opinion from what I see, but
watch
look
the
at
course,
the angle
course
here.
edge.
He
goes
off,
edge.
Yeah, he goes off the course with a huge amount of angle, and it looks like Denofa was kind of stuck and not able to go anywhere.
Yeah, so you could see, oh, high fives. All right, so yeah, you can see that course edge with that white line. Seemed that Dylan Hughes just kind of hung it out there way too long, and that could be definitely a deficit there for Dylan Hughes. Yeah. So yeah, the way he came in. All right, so our judges will scrutinize Ryan. It sounds like they are saying Dylan Hughes came in halfway point, and basically Dylan Hughes at fault, correct?
Yeah, Ryan Lantain basically said more or less what we were saying, Jared. He came into outside, Hughes came into outside zone 3 very late, and then really angled up, dropping that left rear off of the course. And Chelsea Denofa just really simply had nowhere to go.
Got a roadblock. All right, well, when we come back, we'll find out. Oh, there's the mother ducker. How we doing? All right, we got ducks in the building, right? Going flat out to 11. And we say that not to kind of slander the other drivers. They're definitely driving aggressively, but other drivers kind of scale it up and they progress. It seems that Chelsea always just kind of goes right out of the gate at 110.
I think everybody has a certain style and a certain strategy, and that can vary from course to course. We used to talk a lot about how Aasbo would peak at the right time.
Like Tanner Faust as well, yeah.
Tanner Faust, and you know, you see some of the guys like, you know, Forsberg that has been so consistent over his career. Everybody has a little bit of a different approach. Denofa is just like, I'm going.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of that has to do with maybe even the car setup. You know, we're talking about earlier in Pro Spec, the Ford Mustang, and you know, JTP was that style. You know, if you didn't overdrive the car, it might have a mistake.
Sure.
So here we go. Chelsea Denofa out front. Dylan Hughes in the chase position. 3, 2, 1, bang, there goes Chelsea Denofa in that first outside zone. The Nitto tires go ablaze. The GT radial tires underneath that of Dylan Hughes, second outside zone. You can see a little bit of wavering there from Chelsea Denofa in that outside zone 3. Chelsea was saying it's pretty difficult. Corner. He maxes it out, going into that last outside zone. Dylan Hughes dives in, we got contact, but they stay in, he pushes them around. But again, with that contact, looks like Dylan Hughes driving it with a little bit of aggression here. And I think, unfortunately, that will be too much or too little too late for Dylan Hughes.
Well, you have to give props to Hughes' team here. I mean, they were dealing without a competition timeout. They had to put the car back out there without really knowing whether or not it was going to perform up to spec. It did perform up to spec, but Denofa had an advantage over Hughes from the get-go. He just needed to lay down a solid lead run. He angled up there a little bit too, like Hughes as well. So it must be wet in that area over there where drivers are getting a little bit more angle than they suspect that they might. We have a little bit of a tap there towards the outside zone 4 with Hughes, but Denofa stays in it, and most likely he's going to get the win here.
Well, here's the competition timeout, the NGK competition timeout being utilized by Ryan Turk for a bye run. That bears repeating. Not even contact, nothing. He's had some gremlins throughout today. You know, Lorette had some words with him again earlier talking about, do you have to switch out the engine? He says, maybe, I don't know. Also, I'm going to bring up an interesting fact is, Ryan, maybe, you know, where you said it's slick, that might be due to that new paved area. You know, that maybe there's something that's coming up from the new asphalt or something like that. But slide him left for Dylan Hughes, or right for Chelsea Denofa, and Chelsea Denofa gets the win. Denofa unanimously gets the win, takes out Matt Field, who's pulling for him. You got Chelsea, you got Frederick Aasbo, who's pulling for Odie Bakchis. Here they go, that first outside zone 1. Matt Field drops into formation, coming to outside zone 2. There goes that field suspension S chassis. Outside zone 2, being filled. Very smooth is Odie Bakchis. Matt Field gives him a little bit of room, but is it too much? Now comes back that exhaust note, firing off in outside zone 4. Hitting that wet pavement, but again, good proximity, good control. And again, Odie Bakchis seeming a lot more comfortable there on that actual run as opposed to a side lap.
Let's take a look at this here, Jared. Nice little initiation there from Odie. He's on the middle, kind of inside of outside zone 1. Field not letting him get away. Great job on outside zone 2 by Odie. Now watch his approach leaving 3. I actually think this is probably the smarter way to approach 3. You don't have that drastic angling up. It's more smooth and consistent, and that allows you to get into the early part of outside zone 4, lock in that right rear tire at the edge of the track, and push all the way through it. Now let's take a look at it again here from this other section. Watch how smooth he is leaving outside zone 3. Good angle here, Field trying to track him down. He's at the middle, not the deepest part of the zone. And he gets that timing right for that last outside zone 4. Matt closes the door, we get that accordion effect again, and we got ourselves a good battle here in the top 16.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Field just kind of wants to progress on, but here we are in the 16. Odie Bakchis again. He'd love to jump up in the points. Matt Field, the beast from the Bay, our current points leader, winner at round 1 in Long Beach. Rutledge Wood watching on his flight right now. Thanks for tuning in, Rut. Making his trip back home. Now we got Matt Field, Borla, Heat Wave, Lean Customs. He's got the Ford Star on the corners, the Momo on the seats. Here we go. Matt Field will lead. And Odie Bakchis give it chase. We got a clean start. GT Radials initiating that first outside zone. Ryan says a little wow, and Odie Bakchis, one of the best chasers in the business. Look at him drop back into the pocket. Matt Field, great transition into outside zone 2, and Odie cannot be shaken. A little bit shallow, could be a little deeper. Now coming outside zone 4. How's he going to manage? Both of them are in it. Looks like Matt Field exits it just a little bit sooner than expected, but some great driving here in the 16 as the sparks go flying there. And the K&N air filter being popped off. Speaking of K&N air filter, save 20%, $50. Go to knfilters.com. You can see all hands on deck here with Chelsea, the hood being popped.
Field is definitely known for that wide sweeping initiation at this course. I don't know if you remember the Aasbo situation that happened a few years back where they made contact. Odie is doing a great job, in my mind, kind of maintaining the mimicking effect. You can tell he's super gripped up, but he doesn't get as deep as he probably should have in outside zone 3. So I think he's got proximity and aggression, and what the judges are going to be looking for is not only who did better in the lead and chase, but who did better overall. Is there a way that you can point to saying, you know what, I think that Odie did better in these areas of the course in both lead and the chase versus Matt, or vice versa?
And how much weight do you put on each of those categories, right? Like you said, aggression, proximity, and mimicking that angle, and putting the car in the right place.
And one of the things that we've seen from the judges, particularly this year, is the onus on the lead driver to allow the chase driver to have a good chase, right? If there's not a good lead, it's very difficult for that situation to occur, and we've seen them be very weighty against the lead driver for not allowing the chase driver an opportunity.
And that was Dom right there. That is Ryan Turk's team member. We're looking at, look at this, Chelsea, his hood's popped. I saw a throat shot. I think it was just telling him to cut the engine there. But let's take a look at the BC Racing Go for Gold side by side. Ryan, here we go, Go for Gold. You see Odie leading on the left, Matt leading on the right.
Seems like fairly similar in outside zone 1. Odie does a great job of 2. Field does a pretty good job as well. Odie is much tighter on proximity leaving 2, but then he doesn't fill outside zone 3. And so it is a little bit of a tit-for-tat, back-and-forth battle that you can see Field falls off there in the chase run on outside zone 4. So when you put all those things into the hopper, you know, do you have an you don't have to say it, but in your mind you have an intuition like, you know, I could see it going to so-and-so.
This is one of those cases where you know, I wouldn't mind. I could see the judges input it. I wouldn't mind seeing it go one more time, just because it's such a good pairing here. And here we go, one more time, and there we go. So, you know, again, one more time, they have to go at it again. So again, we have 3 judges. One more time, driver A or driver.
And also with Taguchi is that we haven't really had a spotty course throughout this event yet.
All right, here we go. Nick Novack initiates in that BMW, big wide swing there. Novack GT Rado, but look at Jonathan Hurst, the pride of Paducah, slides it into that second outside zone. Nick Novack maxing out the angle. Little quick correction to get into that third outside zone. Now coming into that last outside zone. Here goes Novack. Oh, and he loops it.
Got up there.
He got into the red and white rumble strips that grabbed him, and it got obviously very slick. Slip and slide, take it to the house.
Well, Jonathan Hurst has become a monster chase driver in a very short period of time. You know, coming back with this new vehicle and driving just so impressively. You see little hints of that here. He's not afraid to dive in and get right in the pocket. That was one of the things the judges really wanted to see, was driving in the pocket as a chase driver. But unfortunately for Novack, as he starts to set himself up for outside zone 4, he gets the timing just a little bit wrong, pushes a little bit too hard, gets up on those rumble strips, very slippery, and spins out.
Yeah, crazy turn of events. Also, get an update here from Lorette via text saying that Chris Forsberg's just bleeding the clutch system. So again, doesn't seem too worried at all. Just maintaining it, has some time. Getting underneath the vehicle. You can see it right there. There's Jimmy and the boys working on it. And now we're going to alternate the order. As you said, yeah, Jonathan Hurst doing a great job in that chase position. Jonathan Hurst, Mr. Cool BMW, will lead. Novack Racing BMW chasing him down. Here we are on the other side of that top 16 bracket. Local time 9:47 p.m. We'll be partying late into the night, but right now we are looking at, again, our Royal Purple top 16, who's moving on to our Torque Motorsport Grade 8. When they go from that start line, and we got a clean start. Let's see how he handles this initiation. Straight line approach right into it. Goes that Mr. Cool BMW, and Novack gets in the pocket, almost hits him. Oh boy, and look at that, he comes out of angle. Talking about Nick Novack in the chase position, but Jonathan Hurst, he gets deeper into that third outside zone. Don't get in that red and white or it's gonna get slick, and no, he fights it off. So he does get in the red and white, but does not spin out. So unfortunately, Nick Novack, here we are. Like I told you, you said that the patchiness, right? The inconsistencies. What have we seen? We haven't seen that this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to miss your top 32 battle and then come out to the exact same track conditions that you had all weekend long in practice and things like that. It's another thing to come out there and have a track surface that you only get one sight lap on. And you can see that Jonathan Hurst is basically in control of this battle. After that spin from Novack, he gets through the course, no problem. This is a no-brainer right here. He moves on into the Grade 8.
What a bummer there for Novack, you know, feeling the momentum. You could see it in the driver introduction, just like, yup, kind of pound on the chest, like, here we go, we're about to throw down. But unfortunately, there you go. Jonathan Hurst, Mr. Cool BMW, is going to leader Matt Field. The one more time here, and they didn't, on their previous run, they didn't know how big of repercussions this has. So you go from 16 to 4 right now. Bakchis leads. Matt Field tucks into the pocket. The GT Radio smoke all over the track. And big angle there from Bakchis. Matt Field maybe giving him too much room. He knows how good he is in the chase position. Now he surges in attack, going from 3 to 4 into that last outside zone. Here goes Bakchis and Matt Field. Again, I heard you say it, careful, exactly. That's what they need to do, because you could easily overcook it, and we saw how devastating it was to Nick Novack, looping it in the outside zone 4 on those rumble strips.
So the execution here from Odie in the lead run is pretty solid. Notice he gets right to the edge, almost to the edge of outside zone 1. Last time he was just on the middle, on the inside. Zone 2, he gets deep and stays right about the middle to the deeper part of the zone. 3, deeper to the part of the zone. Little bit of a separation there from Field. Maybe didn't have the same level of proximity, but Field is most definitely in the fight. So what I'm going to be looking for this next round is, can Odie keep the pressure on better than Field, and can Field have an equal to or greater than lead run than Odie Bakchis? Because this is such a close run. We really got to see, nobody made any really major mistakes, but we got to see where the guys shine in both the lead and the chase position.
Yeah, I don't think the X factor was really present here. I don't think it was like, whoa, look at that. It was more of a, all right, go through the motions, tread lightly. I feel like they're both a little nervous. I mean, I thought they make it look easy. And you know, Matt Field was talking about it earlier in the day with Lorette, talking about that pavement surface going a little bit of basically change as far as elevation goes when you go from 2 to 3. And he says, I'm loving the track. He says he loves the sweeping lines. It's drying out a little bit. We're seeing a little bit more smoke, Ryan. Look at the smoke that's filling the room. So that's a good indication.
I think Odie's got to hit outside zone 2 and 3 here in the chase.
Here we go, Matt Field out front, and that Borla exhaust Corvette initiates. There goes Odie Bakchis. You talk about it, he bees about it. Into that second outside zone. Watch this transition. There goes Matt Field.
Much better.
He pedals it into outside zone 2, going to outside zone 3. Matt Field gets all the way out there. Good proximity by Odie Bakchis. He was much deeper than that first run. And look at Matt Field brings it in, and there is Odie Bakchis. So some great driving by both the drivers, Matt Field and Odie Bakchis. Some great driving by both of them, and kudos to them for just navigating this track. But like I said, we're seeing more smoke. This is a sign of a good time.
Right, and so as we take a look at this run, I think what's really going to play a role here is the mimicking effect by Odie. He immediately gets to the door of Matt Field, and on 2 and on 3, he stays in that mimicking line, right? He's not on the inside, and he's trying to do whatever Matt is doing, and that may give him an advantage in this overall run. When Matt makes that adjustment and transitions to 4, Odie is right there and takes back the line, stays in the pocket. So when you're looking at both of these runs cumulatively, can you say that Odie Bakchis did it better? At least from first glance, it appears that might be the case.
Some great driving by both the guys under some really big pressure, and I'm sure, I don't know if they do know. I was going to say, I'm sure
it's
they do know.
It's still very, very close, yeah.
But what I'm saying, Frederick Aasbo, Robert Thorne. Freddie will lead, Thorne will give chase. Through the chicane goes that Rockstar Toyota GR Supra, initiating into the outside zone. Thorne, the ASM Momo, BMW. Now navigating towards that second outside zone. Oh, and Robert Thorne, a big correction. He had a big straightening there. Coming into that third outside zone goes Frederick Aasbo. The goal looking good right now. Into that last outside zone, and there goes Robert Thorne with another quick little bob on a correction. Maybe a little bit of nerves, maybe getting a little slick in that area. Again, our 2022 Formula GF Pro Spec champion making the jump from 4 rounds to 8 rounds. It's a big jump. A lot of horsepower, a lot more tire, but definitely experienced driver.
Yeah, you know, the stability and the kind of smoothness is a factor here for Thorne. He, you know, nice, quick, snappy transition, decent proximity, but he's doing it in such a way where he's giving a lot of opportunity for Aasbo to match or better in his chase run. And meanwhile, Aasbo out front, that's probably a 92 qualifying run. So very solid qualifying run in the lead position there for Frederick Aasbo. Interesting story, you know, we usually don't get a lot of guys from Pro Spec in their rookie year jumping up to pro. And I talked to Robert in the off season and was like, is that something that you're gonna do? And it wasn't even a question that he was gonna do it. Yeah, and I actually think he talked to Vaughn Gittin Jr. and, you know, got some consultancy about that or whatever, and decided to make the jump, because it is not easy doubling the rounds, but he's doing great.
Yeah, no, and I like that. Just a different perspective. You know, the drivers asking around, seeing what's going on, and if you could mind share, you know, that's what I love about drifting, is you could share the secrets, but at the end of the day, you can have the same car, very different setups, you know, very different, again, perspective as far as how you drive, what's going on. So let's change up the order here. Robert Thorne and Frederick Aasbo. So Thorne, ASM, Momo, BMW, he's going to lead, throws it in, the Koenig wheels go around, and Frederick Aasbo, he is just bathing in smoke. Grab that soap, he's getting all dirty here in that third outside zone. Thorne, a lot more comfortable, getting that fresh air, and that bumper compresses and pops back out, but Frederick Aasbo keeps his composure like we know he can, and spins out and saves it. So Thorne does a little 360 action and saves the car, but that could have been a lot more worse. And there you go, Thorne waving off with the Momo glove out the window. That's going to be all Aasbo.
You should never speak before the outside zone 4 happens. But in my mind, what was starting to happen, what was starting to like pop up was, you know, it's going to be a situation of comparison of the chase runs, because the lead runs are pretty similar, generally speaking, pretty solid. And, you know, was Aasbo putting together a stronger, more stable chase. But once we get to outside zone 4 here, another victim of the rumble strips, and we see Thorne get it incomplete.
And here we are taking a look. You know the outcome. Frederick Aasbo, the 3-time champ, gets the 16. So no points advancement.
Exactly.
Get the same points as
That's what I'm hearing from the competition staff. They're going to make a call now.
Here we go. Moving on to this battle. Dean Carnage Kearney out front. Hyper NFT. Carnage into that first outside zone. He's seeing a lot of different debris being sprayed up in Simon Olsen's face. Now going to that third outside zone. Good sweeping bank into that, again, third outside zone, now into that final outside zone. Simon Olsen maybe giving him too much room out front of Dean Carnage Kearney. Again, that got a little wild right out of the gate. Definitely want to take a look at different angles here.
Well, Simon Olsen had his moment in New Jersey, didn't he? And being on the podium, trying to carry that momentum here in St. Louis. But Dean Kearney has been on a hot one this weekend. Gets a pretty good start there, just dips that right tire, but unfortunately misses about 3/4 of outside zone 2. So leaving the door open there for Simon on his lead run. Better job on 3 and a pretty solid job on the timing into outside zone 4, but he does play it a little bit conservatively. He goes deep into the zone, then pulls out, and then goes back deep again. But I love that snap. And thankfully, when he drops that rear tire, his forward momentum does not change to affect Simon Olsen like some of the other battles that we saw. We're able to see this continue on. So what we're left with is what mistakes were made by what drivers in what areas of the course, and how can those be utilized when we switch things up.
Simon Olsen, as you said, will now lead. We're seeing the telemetry there from the different meters inside the car. You can see the accelerometer lights on the windscreens. And Simon Olsen gets into the chute with his field suspension, GT Radial S chassis, and Carnage will be chasing him down. One more battle after this in our Royal Purple Top 16. That is Jonathan Castro and Ryan Litteral. Here's the second run of this battle. Again, that chase car can't leave before the lead car. Here we go, Simon Olsen. See how he manages that first outside zone, right there on the course edge.
Wow.
Could have gotten a little bit deeper here as Dean Carnage Kearney. Good proximity from him. Look at that, jumping forward. And then SRT-10 Dodge Viper now into that third outside zone. Big angle from Olsen. Again, we've seen cars deeper before, but oh, look at this. Oh no, Dean Carnage Kearney comes up short in that last outside zone. Maybe nervous, a little precarious there from Dean Carnage Kearney.
We were talking about zones 2 and 3 for Dean in the lead position. We're going to want to take a look at that for Olsen. Was he able to get that report back from his spotter and kind of better Dean in those areas? He gets into the first zone a little bit late, but he's very stable and consistent about 3/4 of the way back. Does do a better job on 2 and is able to kind of match that up with a really strong performance in 3. Now in the final outside zone, he transitions back around, goes deep into that zone, and unfortunately Dean does not get the timing right. He comes up a little bit shallow there and is not able to match the line of Simon Olsen.
Yeah, Simon, like you said, he had a moment in New Jersey. Loved to get on top of the box. Got second place, just behind Adam LZ. That was again a momentous occasion for Adam LZ in New Jersey. This is the last time we're going to see LZ at Formula Drift this season. Von Kitten Jr. will be back at the remaining rounds. Let's see who moves on into the 8, Dean Kearney or Simon Olsen. It looks like the Norwegian pilot feels suspension.
He's heating up.
He's heating up from downtown. Boom shakalaka.
Oh, you knew it. You know
Simon Olsen.
Yeah,
what's up,
dog.
Yeah,
You know it. That's sick.
Car stop brakes to radial. RB Army S15. Good aggressive straight line approach there from Jonathan Castro in that first outside zone. Transitions in, Ryan Litteral, he needs to gain some ground. It loses a little bit of angle. Now going to that third outside zone. Looks like Ryan Litteral having a bit of a struggle here into that third outside zone, and now into the fourth. Good angle from Castro. Now Litteral does gain some ground as they cross that finish line. All right.
Let's take a look at this here, Jared. Castro out front, nice little snap. Gets into the zone a tiny bit late, but then he goes to the deepest part of the zone. Litteral trying to chase him down, comes through the smoke line. He's on the inside of 2. Okay, there's an opportunity for Castro in his chase run. Castro, middle, deep part of outside zone 3. Here comes Litteral trying to close the door, and he does a great job of doing that. He pretty much stays on the right line or the same line as Castro, but Castro fills it. Very smooth and fluid by Castro. Even if every single mark wasn't hit at 100%, it's overall a very solid lead run.
All right. Castro and that LTH Mobile 1 GR86, Dominican's finest, going against the IE Inland Empire 909 Power Stop Brakes Collab S15. Now Litteral would love to advance on into the Great 8. So would Castro. They're going to see Simon Olsen in the 8. What do we got? Again, you can still see a little bit of a, you see the patchiness of that track. So still a little bit of moisture in the track. Ryan Litteral changes now into that second outside zone. You see that left foot brake. The front wheels come to a halt. But Castro, good proximity. Could be a little bit deeper. Now how are they going to handle this last and final outside zone? And Litteral!
Again, it was one of those things where I was already starting to think about what the tenor of the run was going to be. It looked like Litteral was off to a good enough start to kind of turn back the direction, maybe going his way or one more time with this pretty solid lead, because look at Castro. He's way on the inside of 2. And also on 3, he doesn't get out nearly as far until the end. But right here, Litteral overextends. Massive angle, is not able to hold it, and another victim in outside zone 4.
Yep, yeah, that is the case, man. So you got to cross the finish line, with control. You got to cross the finish line in general, and unfortunately for Litteral, you see him kind of try to stomp on it, and power through, but it's just not enough. As Jonathan Castro gets the win, LTH Mobile 1. What do we got? Here we go. Chris Forsberg will lead. Denofa giving chase. See how they handle that outside zone 1. Boom, right into it. Chelsea Denofa looks like he's banging doors with Chris Forsberg into that second outside zone. Here goes Forsberg. Denofa drops into formation after a quick little tap out of the gate. Really good proximity. There's Denofa. Great angle and a good lead. Oh! A massive punt by Denofa. Oh, man. That was quite a hit from the back on transition. Let's take a look at it again. Let's back it up.
My goodness.
You could see Denofa.
Look at this snap
around
here. That is a great initiation from Forsberg, but there's Denofa right in the pocket. Another quick snap back around, transitioning to outside zone 2. Denofa super close, trying to mimic on the transition to 4. You can see Denofa is going to start surging forward, grips up, hits Forsberg in the back. Forsberg goes off course and into our fence line. Unbelievable.
So let's take a look at this again. Boom, bang. Here's where the questions lie. Forsberg was in transition. You see him hit him from the back. The chase car needs to give way to that lead car. That's just an awkward position for Denofa to hit Forsberg. Taking a look.
That's also the decel zone area, right? So once they transition, there's a decel, and then you get into outside zone 4. So intuitively, it feels like that's going to be on Denofa. Really tough hit though. Forsberg obviously went about, 80 feet off the course.
Very slick. You could see he's actually stuck. He was spinning wheels. He was actually spinning wheels and tires when he can't get out of there, so he's going to need to get pulled out, towed out. Fortunately, that's a forgiving fence. Hopefully there's no damage caused, but let's watch it again here. Denofa very aggressive and just punts him in the back. You saw him surge up. Like you said, at first glance, it looks like he just accelerated and hit the back of Forsberg. And now we look at Chris Forsberg's team. The judges are taking a look and reviewing what's going on. There's Jimmy. Anything that you're seeing or any murmurs of either fault in either direction?
Well, just take a look at Forsberg's, you know, he gets hit even before the transition gets put into place, right? So his lights are still green there. So I personally think it's going to be on Denofa, but that there's a reason up here in our booth. You know this, Jared, but
yep.
Maybe some of the fans don't. They have their own internal replay system where they can look at all of the different angles that they have available to them. The drones, camera 1, 2, and 3, and try to get the best picture of what transpired there. But intuitively for me, it looks like the contact actually happened before the transition took place for Forsberg, and that's even before the decel zone, or right before the decel zone.
And there's the Forsberg racing team, seeing what's going on. My man on the left there is actually a University of Northwestern Ohio student, which is pretty cool, a sponsor of Formula Drift. So as, you know what, we'll get a cleanup here on aisle 4, get Forsberg out of the fencing, from the fence, as Forsberg and Denofa finish.
You just experienced. There was a very robust discussion up here about what transpired. So that's let's just put that context out there. I came out, you came out. It looked like Denofa was excelling. We saw green lights from Forsberg. Looked like it was pretty clearly Denofa's fault, but these guys wanted to take a much closer look at it. That's where we see the contact happen there before the transition. That is a decel zone. Forsberg lights are green right there. He is on the brakes, but remember, the reason why we have those lights is to show the momentum, forward momentum, slowing or decel of the car. And so when Forsberg is hit, his lights are green. So I see a raised hand down there, Jared, so you might want to go to the judge.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for you to finish your thought.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right, so it's not unanimous as far as...
So explain it to us, Chris. Give us the
either Chris or
judges
Robbie,
inside.
anybody. So again, there's that decel area, and like you said, that accelerometer. So this could have repercussions on the outcome, but Chris Yule, down to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things, again, you know, we get into and we're staring at the lights. They're green on Forsberg the whole time. Was it a perfect transition? No, but I think Denofa was just too aggressive there and got into him square in the back. So Robbie and I put it on Denofa for fault. Lantain went shared on that one. So it's one of these complicated ones that could go either way, depending on how you see it, really.
Right, so basically the logical outcome of that is that if it's shared for Lantain, that was the second run or first run?
Yeah, that's a first run.
First run. So the logical outcome for Lantain is that the second run will play the ultimate role. For you guys that went with Denofa, Forsberg has to incomplete.
Right. Well, and I think Denofa's just lost in the smoke for a split second, and he guessed wrong when to get back on throttle, and that's that.
I'm just saying in terms of the outcome for the second run, right? Like you guys are, if you're giving it to Denofa, you guys are stuck with Forsberg would need an incomplete in order to force him one more time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. So essentially an incomplete for Chelsea Denofa. He's at fault. He causes. You didn't have a complete run here. Now we're seeing Forsberg's car back in the pits. You know, we got to tighten up the fence, get that back in order, and right now Denofa heads back to the pits as well. Has Denofa called his competition time out? I don't think so. I don't think. Oh man, look at that. That thing again took a Mustang to the back right there, and now Forsberg does not need to utilize his competition timeout because he is not at fault. So they have essentially 10 minutes on the clock. So here you are. You can see the alignment plates. You can see throwing the tape measures through those spots, see what it looks like, see what's going on here as far as alignment, front and back. And we see Chelsea Denofa out there, and again, I know the boss man, aka Vaughn Gittin Jr. of RTR. He's watching at home. They had again 3 in a row at round 2, 3, and 4, and now they'd like to do that again, but Forsberg would like to put a stop to that. The 10-minute clock is on. Ford has played a major role in Formula Drift history since 2005. That was the first time Vaughn Gittin Jr. ripped Frederick, who was out in 32. Now here's the 8, fighting for a number 4 spot, but Jonathan Hurst would love to twist the screws on Frederick Aasbo, that rock star pilot, and there he goes, the Mr. Cool BMW, that second outside zone. Hurst backs off just a little bit, but now back to it. Into that 3rd outside zone, Frederick Aasbo, signature Aasbo style. Almost, oh, what is that? That was absolutely wild. Looks like it came out of drift and just shimmied its way. It looked like the suspension part broke or something. That looked wild.
Yeah, so much attention elsewhere, and Aasbo's kind of doing that thing, Jared, where he's quietly peaking at the right moment. They're going up against a very strong Jonathan Hurst in this event. Hurst right in the pocket, out of the gate, through the smoke line, transitions back around. Unfortunately, he's way on the inside of outside zone number 2. Aasbo very consistent out front, deepest part of outside zone 3. Hurst back in the fight again, and then right there, the front end washes out, and he's not able to finish the run cleanly.
Oh, so let's take a look at this. Yeah, I was talking about what happened here. Looks like Jonathan Hurst might have DB'd it. Yeah, the action of the car, you saw it kind of get wonky. Can't see his, might be the back left. Seemed like he was on course the entirety of the time. Didn't seem like he went off. Got the Norwegian flag in the hand of that fan right there. All right, so analyzing what's going on here. Now, here's the scenario, Ryan. D-beating. We haven't seen this in a while, and the reason, elaborate on D-beating and the rules here, because basically, at times, you're able to replace your tire, and at times you're not. We're trying to find out where the tire D-beated on Jonathan Hurst, because it has D-beated.
Okay, so the most current rule on D-beating is if it D-beats on course, in run 1, you're done. If it D-beats off of course, we will allow both drivers to change the rears. And you would have to show where Jonathan Hurst went off course for that to apply on run number 1. He appears to be on course through the entirety of the course. You can also make contact with something on the course. Yeah, that's why we say the entirety of the course. And the only provision that allows you to change the tires is when the car actually goes off of the course, completely off in some way where it may have been debeated because, not because it had low tire pressure, but because of a driving mistake.
Yep. Yeah, and just years past, like you said, low tire pressure. That's why that rule is really instituted, because of because sometimes they ran super low tire pressures, and basically it would cause it to debeat. So we wanted to minimize the debeating. So here we're waiting. You can see Matt Sopa, another replay, another angle to analyze where it debeated. And you can see that back right, basically trying to deduce where it debeated. And I believe it's, there we go, outside zone 3.
Yeah, it's pretty smoke-filled there. I mean, I could see it happening maybe on the transition to 2. Car looked like it kind of did a little. But, and then when he comes back around, it may have already been off right there. Now, one of the things that what they're thinking about is, did it happen going up on the bank, right? And if that is the case, then he would get an opportunity to change his rears, because that we actually have that specific provision in the current rule book right now about St. Louis on that bump going up. Yep. So, you know, what they need to identify is clear and unambiguous footage that shows that it debeated prior to that. If not, they may give the benefit of the doubt and allow him to change his rears. That doesn't mean he doesn't have a mistake, though.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, right. So it basically, he's fighting for his position to still compete, but at the same time, like you said, he still had some wavering, still had some mistakes. All right, so as we find out what happens here between the DB, I mean, he'll have to replace the tire anyway, so let's go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, we'll find out what happened. The winner of this going against either Hurst or Aasbo. We'll see the second half of that battle in just a little bit. Here we go, Castro out front, initiates that LTH Mobile 1 GR86. Now coming through into that second outside zone, you can see Simon Olsen, looks like he lunges forward and now transitions into that third outside zone. Simon Olsen right there in that pocket. Now see how they handle that last outside zone for, oh, buddy! Castro looks like he rotates, want to see the overhead here. Olsen was taking a very shallow, weird line, but it seemed independent. Castro was like almost, it looked like he was like shocked, where are you going, bro? But didn't look like they made contact at all, even though Castro was spinning in that lead position.
Let's take a look at this here. Castro, Olsen kind of on heaters this round, doing a great job. Castro out front into the deepest part of outside zone 2. Incredible job. Judges want to see you maintain momentum through 3. Here comes Olsen. Castro transitions back around. Big angle, gets up all the rumble strips, and another victim as Olsen does a great job avoiding any further contact.
Just a heads up, just to put it out in the air, Hurst does not have to utilize his competition timeout as 5. And look at that, whoa, yeah, that was close. But again, Jonathan Hurst and that Mr. Cool BMW does not have to utilize his competition timeout. That was deemed by Kevin Wells. And it's because of where it happened. It's the bank transition in that designated area. So giving that some clarity. So again, Jonathan Hurst will not have to use his competition timeout in that banked area. That's where it happened, so no competition timeout being utilized. Thank you for the update. See the second half of this battle, Castro spinning out, so I have to assume Olsen's got to have an advantage here. It seemed that Castro spun under his own accord. Simon did have some mistakes in that last outside zone and mistakes throughout the track, but a spin out, that is deemed an incomplete. So Simon Olsen, if he produces, he could be back up in the mix and gunning for another podium spot in the Final Four. Here goes Simon Olsen. That'd be great to see Olsen and Aasbo right in the Final Four, 2 Norwegian drivers. Castro, look at that. Oh man, here comes Jonathan Castro in that Mobile 186, and he's grinding the door of the fuel suspension at chassis. Outside of the third outside zone, Castro making his presence felt. Drives in on the inside. Oh boy. Some great aggressive driving by Castro, but unfazed is the Norwegian pilot of Simon Olsen. Some great driving by Castro, but unfortunately that spin at outside zone 4, that just seems to be the case with Castro, man. He just does these great things, but then offsets it with just these little mistakes.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a big one.
Yeah.
Not so little, but he comes back really hard and aggressively here. Look at that. I mean, that is just banging doors. You got to love that kind of driving. Simon Olsen is finding himself in a new position right here. He's making it 2 events in a row, very deep into competition. He should be proud of his effort along with his teammate Odi Bakchis.
Yeah, you know, just so much info, like I said, being shared. And there we go. Let's slide him left for Castro or right for Simon Olsen. Simon Olsen gets the win and advances on into the Final Four. Here he is. Just slide on by, drop into formation. That could have definitely had a different outcome. But here we go. Chelsea Denofa out front. Chris Forsberg in that chase position. Denofa, I feel, is going to get really aggressive here in that first outside zone. Gets a little bit into the dirt and a lot into the dirt. And that's going to be, oh boy, yeah. Okay, don't know what's going on. Okay. All right, well, I think this is just to finish out this run here. I'm gonna salvage the car. Okay, oh boy, yeah. Okay. We got some extracurricular stay after class here. You boys are going to detention. And yeah, so it looks like yeah, I think both these guys, you know, again, we're running hot. We're running hot out here, kids. And it looked like Denofa got into the dirt. The car rotated. We saw that previously. But Denofa pushes hard and just having some fun. Let's take a look at it again here, Ryan. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, Denofa just angles up on the end of outside zone 1, and that's going to end the run right there. That would be an incomplete. All of this is just for fun or whatever you want to call it. Pick your
anger,
adjective. Yeah,
frustration. Yeah, I mean, these guys have exchanged words. They've exchanged body panels before, and I think it continues here. And Denofa pulls up. Looked like Denofa threw a little shaka at him, but I think he's going to shaka his way back into the pits as Chris Forsberg gets the win. His perspective, but right now, again, Forsberg and Odie are in. Simon Olsen waits. Will he be going against a fellow Norwegian or a Kentuckian? Paducah, Kentucky to be exact. Jonathan Hurst will now lead. Now keep in mind, yeah, he gave the tire and he kept it where the rubber meets the road, but the rubber actually didn't meet the road because he beat it and shook up the car a little bit. Here we go, that Mr. Cool BMW. He's gonna try to fight back. Oh, no, he won't. And unfortunately, that'll be all she wrote for Jonathan Hurst. A great effort there, but doesn't matter what Aasbo does in the entirety of this run. Frederick Aasbo's going to the Final Four. So again, the three-time champion who was knocked out in 32 now fights back for another championship. You have two three-time champions in the Final Four. Chris Forsberg, Frederick Aasbo. Odie Bakchis has never won a championship. Simon Olsen, he got his first podium in New Jersey.
Yeah, there's just a really crazy ebb and flow to the way the season goes. Just last round, Aasbo's knocked out in the top 32, and as you said, he's going into the Final Four. Forsberg making the final in Road Atlanta against his buddy Von Gittin Jr., making his way deeper into competition. Simon Olsen having a great event, picking up momentum as we move deeper and deeper into the season. So it has been pretty crazy so far. And then, of course, you got Odie Bakchis, who's been hanging out in the Final Four for the past 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it again, goes from the 16 past the 8 because didn't have the competitor there in either Gucci. Let's make it official. Slide him left for Frederick Aasbo, the Rockstar energy drink. In mind, you know, Odie.
Oh, keep in mind, that's what it was.
Okay, keep in mind. Yeah. Don't let it slip your cerebellum here. That Odie Bakchis, he hasn't, you know, seen the kind of calamity that Chris Forsberg has seen, right? So
yeah,
he did go against Matt Field. He had that one more time, but he hasn't been punted around, has it? You know, but the car is still definitely beat up. That was the car that you said looked like armor.
Are you saying that more from like a psychological perspective, or more
both?
From okay.
Both physical, the equipment, and as well as psychological.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
But also he's been chilling for a little bit. He did have his bye run. So we saw that not work out for Taguchi and Novack. There's so many different scenarios.
A lot
here.
of variables.
A game of inches, and I always say it, the game of inches in between your ears.
A lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of what have you.
Yeah. Here we go. Our first battle of the Type S Final Four. The fuel suspension S chassis. Odie Bakchis, Chris Forsberg in tow. Oh, Forsberg gets to the side of. We got body parts flying. Holy cow. You said we wanted to get a straight up shot, but man.
I should just stay quiet.
Yeah.
What I want to see.
Yeah. Again, I introduced Matt Sopa to the announcer's curse, and just like that, Forsberg initiates, gets to the side of Odie Bakchis. It looks like too aggressive. A hush falls over the Forsberg Racing pit. Looks like a headlight goes shooting out. And there's that side skirt of Odie Bakchis. That initiation looks like it's throwing a gang sign out there.
Let's take a look here, Jared. You see that little snap there from Odie.
Boom.
Forsberg coming up, and that's where we get contact. Happens very early in the run. I think where we'll be halfway through the zone. You can see Forsberg trying to left foot brake there. Odie looked like he was just running general pace, at least from the two shots that I saw. You can see he goes to neutral for a second. On the initiation, hits red real briefly, and then the contact happens. I think that is about halfway through the zone.
Yeah.
Fun. Let's go.
Yep. There's the decel map. You could see there's no decel. You want to accelerate there. So, you know, do the brake lights come into play there? We talked about that earlier.
There's always going to be a little bit of a change of momentum when you're going from straight to sideways. And watch, you'll see Odie. He goes neutral real quick, then red very briefly. But the contact happens quite a ways down. So what the judges are going to be looking at is whether or not there was sustained momentum from Odie, or if Forsberg had increased acceleration leading up to the point of contact.
All right, so
you know, a run that will be very controversial. People will get mad. They'll throw stuff. You know, the ducks will be flying all over the place.
Oh no, faux the duck is safe. Faux the duck is safe. You know, as far as the judging criteria, again, we talk about line angle style when it comes to this. Our judging panel consists of 3 judges each round, but our panel is 4 judges. So we do have 1 judge that sits out each round. So collectively, each judge will judge 6 rounds of the pro competition. Our panel this particular round, Ryan Lontaine, Robin Ishida, and Chris Yule. Brian Eggert sitting out, helping Sean Adriano as driver steward. And then again, they rotate through. So they're scrutinizing the runs. Lontaine, Nishida, Chris Yule, they are up in the tower on the 4th level, just below that top deck there, and utilizing not only their naked eye, but really slowing it down, getting different angles, different perspectives. All the cameras that you're seeing, we have those, and we could scrub them. Okay, so it looks like, yep, so we are hearing, Ryan, that Chris Forsberg is at fault. So Chris Forsberg will have to call his competition timeout. He does have it, 5 minutes, and then Odi Bakchis will basically have 10 minutes in order to fix his vehicle. Do you agree with that call?
Yeah, I think that's generally pretty fair. I mean, there used to be a decel zone there, but now the judges want to see you carry momentum, and you're always going to have a little bit of an adjustment, but they don't want to see a full decel there. And it looks like Odi was at least able to maintain. He does hit red for a split second right there, but then the contact with Forsberg happens after that. So I think what the judges are saying is that Forsberg was too aggressive. Let's find out if it was unanimous, though. Was it unanimous?
I'm gonna grab
okay.
one of the judges' ears here, and talk to Robin Ishida. Robbie, was that a unanimous decision that it was that was Forsberg's fault?
Yes, it was. And you know, watching brake lights and the decel lights and everything, we include the car movement first. And obviously we watch a lot of cars and hundreds of runs. The way he initiated, if Chris was on maybe a little bit more of a wider line, and the pace he was coming into. We do understand that Odi did initiate, and it's only common sense that the car will, lose a little bit of its pace when it's going from straight to sideways. But this case, it looks like Chris pushed it a little bit too much, and since Odi was there, we don't know what the outcomes would have been, how far Chris would have been as well. But looking at the car movement and stuff like that, we had to put it on the chase car this time.
Yeah, and again, this is a case of Chris Forsberg just experienced this, just being too aggressive with Chelsea punching him out of the way on the outside zone 4. So just temper the flame, kind of reel it in, bring it back. Oh, we got a nice little date night. Thanks for joining us here. Nice little Saturday night at the racetrack, Worldwide Technology Raceway. It's a beautiful night. It cooled down tremendously once that rain hit. In between the 32 and the 16, and here is our all-Norwegian battle. Skål! Here we go. Fredrik Aasbo, Simon Olsen.
Hit your Aasbo.
I mean, like, wow. I'm super proud of my man Simon Olsen. He really gave it all. But me and my team, I want to thank them. They did a really good job.
It kind of sounded like you went to Russia there.
I did. I'm not good at accents. I'm not really good, but you asked for it, so
okay.
I gave.
I appreciate it.
And I'm not razzing Aasbo. I love Freddie.
You're a good sport. That's why I love you.
Yeah, thank you. And Simon Olsen, we'll see.
Wow.
Whoa! You hear that? That's the winds of change. Potentially, Fredrik Aasbo could take over the lead with a victory here. Here we go. Fredrik Aasbo initiates strongly into that first outside zone. Simon Olsen, his Norwegian compatriot, into that second outside zone. Simon Olsen, he checks up. He takes a way shallower line. Here comes Fredrik Aasbo on the Nitto tires. The Bergenholtz get loud. Now that final outside zone. Here comes Fredrik Aasbo. Drops it right into formation. Simon Olsen, he is in tow, but he had a major mistake on that second outside zone. That definitely will hurt him.
We were just talking about that last round, right? As the spotter stand started to thin out, we could hear Ron more clearly. Every single battle where one of his drivers was performing well, and he's cheering on Aasbo here.
Representing Nitto tires.
Representing Nitto tires. You can see Simon Olsen really missing that outside zone 2, a little bit shallow on 3 as well. Aasbo's been so historically good at his lead runs, making it so difficult when it comes time for the other driver to lead. He gets to the deepest part of that zone for a pretty good period of time. Very smooth and consistent. He's settled. And Olsen has a little bit of a tough time maintaining that mimicking effect. And so now we will switch things up as Olsen will take the lead.
Let's alternate positions here. Simon Olsen, Frederick Aasbo. Like I said, Odie is guaranteed a podium. It's a must-win for Forsberg in order. I would say that, you know, it's easier to lead. You got that clean air. You know what you need to do, but you know, modifying or massaging your car in those outside zones, that chase position is very difficult, just given, you know, the skill level and elevation right now. So Simon Olsen, he's gonna lead, but he knows he's got Frederick Aasbo, the gold rock star nose, in that rear view mirror. Watch Freddie surge and attack here in the second outside zone, and he's gonna go deep in this third outside zone. Both of them, boom, right there. That's what I was expecting here. Now, again, this is the toughest part of the track, Ryan, that exclamation point on the run. Freddie wasn't exactly the closest on that last outside zone, but he gave it the old Norwegian try. Skull, there we go. So a thumbs up there from Freddie. Is that enough? And did Simon have too many mistakes to get the win?
Well, I mean, I think you got to look at Aasbo's chase here, right? And compare it to Olsen's chase. Aasbo is definitely deeper in outside zone 2. He's got pretty strong proximity. He follows Olsen into outside zone 3. He does back off, like you said, for a second there. You see a little bit of an extension by Olsen, but then Aasbo tightens it up there towards the end. So I think Aasbo comparatively has the better of the chases. And then you look at the leads, and then you factor all that in and say, did somebody do better overall? And I would imagine that it's leaning towards one driver over the other right now, but we'll let the judges make that decision and see who's going to be moving on into the finals.
Wow, so some crazy turn of events here. Frederick Aasbo could take that points lead back from Matt Field as we will be heading into Seattle, round 6. But Simon Olsen would love to play spoiler. Second place in New Jersey, but he could be on the box if Odie gets the win, because that would mean that, again, Odie, Aasbo in the finals. Again, if he defeats Forsberg, Olsen would get third place. Just talking out the scenarios here. And again, a big, massive shift once again in points. Frederick Aasbo was first in points going into Jersey. He gets knocked down 32. Here he is getting some redemption in St. Louis. Round 5. Is he going to reassume the points lead, taking out Simon Olsen? Who's going to the finals? And who is the winner going against, Forsberg or Odie? Scrutinizing the runs, the Norwegian flag can stand high for either Olsen or Aasbo. But obviously rocking the field shirts there, pulling for Simon Olsen. Here's the BC Racing Go for Gold side-by-side, Ryan. What do you think the judges are analyzing?
Well, I'm going to try to split my brain here and see if I can just more focus on the chase runs. And you can see right here, that's where Olsen gives up a lot in the chase on the left-hand side of the screen, and Aasbo does not. So then we revert and we take a look at the lead runs. I'm not saying that I got everything perfect, but the lead runs look fairly similar. But there might be one big thing.
One big thing. Slide him left for Aasbo, right for Olsen. Oh, one more time. Frederick Aasbo and Simon Olsen. We are split across the board. Lantagne has the headset on. And Ryan Lantagne, you said OMT, and there you are. Looks like Olsen's camp. So again, split decision across the board. Run on initiation. So Forsberg utilizes competition timeout. Odie Bakchis does not, but he checks out the car, inspects it, make sure that it's up to snuff. Now, Forsberg is hoping, in order to survive here and push it maybe to a one more time, is to have an incomplete by Odie. Forsberg, you know, again, it all culminated right there, that first run. But again, here goes Forsberg. He'll be out front. Odie Bakchis in the chase position. Again, Forsberg in the lead. He's hoping Odie makes that mistake. Hush falls over the crowd as we're getting ready to send it. The lights extinguish and away they send it. Here we go. Chris Forsberg out front. Bakchis in the chase position. Forsberg initiates, strongly battered and bruised, but definitely not knocked out in that second outside zone. Some gap being created here between Forsberg and Bakchis. And again, it looks like Odie's playing a tempered approach here in that final outside zone. Goes Forsberg, and there goes Bakchis. So, again, not exactly the most aggressive chase job, but that's exactly what it needed to do. That was, I believe, strategic more than anything. After they got that contact there, again, a big deficit to Forsberg and his camp.
I think that was one of the best ways to execute your role as a chase driver, given the situation in the previous run, right? He's not letting Forsberg walk on him. He's keeping some pressure on at a decent level, and he's able to get the job done here by doing pretty much what he needs to do. I mean, we always worry about a sandbagging situation. That is not the case here. Odie stays with them. This would not be a chase strategy that he would go with if it was not an incomplete with Forsberg, but he does everything that he needs to do to move on.
Yeah, and again, you know, not a sandbag situation. He stayed consistently the same pace with Forsberg. So unfortunately for Forsberg, this is going to be a fourth place finish for him. You know, so let's make it official. Odie Bakchis gets the win. He advances on. Chris Forsberg qualifying 16th are those, you know, championship contenders such as Chelsea Denofa and again notably Matt Field. Here we go into one more time battle between Fredrik Aasbo and Simon Olsen. Old Norway on track right now. Big angle from Fredrik Aasbo. That was massive there. And again, Simon Olsen retaliates. This, you know, we're talking about that line. And yeah, very similar line. He kind of hung it out to dry. But Olsen with really good posture and composure into that last outside zone. This is it. I mean, the confidence level of Simon Olsen is through the roof.
Well, the result last time was the most split that you could get, right? It was driver A, driver B one more time, and we do see that from time to time. What we saw was, or the analysis was, that Aasbo left outside zone one early. This time he does not. He stays very deep in the zone, maybe even almost too long.
That's what I'm saying.
And Olsen, same kind of situation, is on that inside of outside zone too. Now super close in proximity right here. Good transition back around. Aasbo floats it out and then comes up on the inside about halfway through outside zone number 4. Now here's a perspective from the FPV. Aasbo dipping, looks like he actually dipped the tire there for a second. And then as we see this transition, you can kind of see where Olsen is relative to Aasbo. I love this move right here. I mean, that is just beautiful, keeping it right door to door and the pressure on Aasbo. So another good start here between these two guys.
Looked like Simon did exceed the nose of the Supra there for a little bit, but really good proximity, and he has that matching horsepower, so you could see he's got that torque on deck, could throw it and kind of reel him in and show that he has what it takes to hang and has what it takes to take down that 3-time champion. Again, these guys are friends off the track, and I know they're gonna, you know, congratulate each other respectively on who advances on, who's going against Odie. Simon Olsen will lead. Aasbo will now chase in this one more time battle. Is it gonna go one more time again? It very well could. We need to see something, just that extra special sauce. Let's send it, boys. Come on now. Is Simon Olsen gonna take down the 3-time and defending champ of Fredrik Aasbo? Or is Aasbo going to assume the points lead here in St. Louis? Simon Olsen, good transition outside zone 2. Fredrik Aasbo drops right into that pocket. Man, that is signed, sealed, and delivered. Coming now down into that last outside zone. Ryan, some great driving out front by Olsen. Man, that thing slams down into that transition. And again, great formation. And getting into that pocket is Fredrik Aasbo, but a solid lead run by Olsen.
It's just been really great. You know, I've had some opportunities to talk to Simon over the past year or so as he's been getting into the series. It's really great to see him with a vehicle that's prepared in such a way that it really emphasizes his driving. And we're seeing a really great product come from that. Aasbo and his team always prepared, always ready to do battle as they make up the second half of this run here. Another really close call as we take a look on board from the FPV, initiating right at the same time. Aasbo right there, driving through the smoke line, now popping through. trying to stay on that line that Olsen is drawing all the way from 2 to 3. Good transition back around. And we finish up the run here with a little bit of an exclamation point by both Simon Olsen and Frederick Aasbo.
All right, here we go with that side-by-side. The BC Racing Go for Gold side-by-side specifically. These guys have very similar driving styles. I mean, I'd love to see, like, and again, is there something in the Norwegian water? Here we go. Again, Freddie leading on the left, Simon leading on the right. Walk us through it, Ryan. What kind of differences are you seeing? A little bit of gap there from Simon on the left, but it looked like Freddie kind of, again, stayed out there quite a bit long, and that's going to throw him off.
I think it's how you judge that, right? Like, that was brought up in the last run, and Lantain was saying that there was some emphasis placed to a higher degree with some of the judges versus others. Olsen was on the inside of outside zone 2, right? And ultimately, what was the cause of that is what the judges need to decide.
All right. So, all right, which way are we going? Again, Odie Bakchis waits in the wings to see who he goes against. Looking at qualifying, whichever driver wins obviously fights for first. Whichever driver loses, guaranteed third over Chris Forsberg. They both out-qualified Chris Forsberg as all right, so as we still wait, the judges are inputting the outcome here, Olsen or Aasbo. Aasbo and Olsen. Here we go. Slide them left for, waiting for the graphics, Frederick Aasbo. Slide them right for Simon Olsen. Then we got one for Aasbo. One more time and one more time. Apologize. So Aasbo will lead. And Olsen give it chase. Here we go. Aasbo will lead. Olsen give it chase. On this second one more time. Are we going to have a victor? Let's send it. Who's it going to be? Aasbo. Will he assume again the points lead here in St. Louis? Little Manji across the nose of that field suspension S13. Frederick Aasbo dialed. Looks like he is definitely more on rails than was previously Simon Olsen. Now that looked like a really good execution going from 1 to 2. And that allows Olsen to get right in that pocket. Transitioning in that final outside zone. Olsen gets a little too aggressive, bites off more than he can chew. I mean, that was almost perfect by Simon Olsen. What a lead run by Frederick Aasbo. That, unfortunately, that could make or break the decision.
If you were in the camp where the outcome of outside zone 2 had to do with the way that Aasbo approached 1,
boom.
As you said, this is a much cleaner, much better job. You see Olsen attacking here. Great job mimicking. That is just beautiful right there. Surges forward, just barely misses Aasbo on the transition back around. Then they bump, and he comes out of drift. Or he comes, actually, I think the line is cut. He actually keeps angle in the wheels, it looks like. But this whole part of the course right here is just really fun to watch from both drivers. Super deep is Aasbo into outside zone 3. Olsen right there. Great job avoiding contact, and then maybe a little tiny bump right there where Olsen gets out of whack.
Yeah, hats off to both these guys. Again, that's that mental stability that you just need to stay focused, stay in the game. You know, in between those battles, you kind of like want to exhale, but you got to stay up there. You got to stay elevated in order to defeat who you just went against. You got to learn from your mistakes and obviously the driver's mistakes. As Odie and their camp watching on as Simon Olsen, will they be going against their very own teammate, or are they going against the three-time and defending champion of Frederick Aasbo? And with that win, he will take the lead. So who's going to the finals? Will it be Frederick Aasbo or Simon Olsen, who most recently got second place in New Jersey? Frederick Aasbo would love to get that points lead back and get back on the podium. He is guaranteed a podium, but where is it going to be? Simon Olsen out front. We got a clean start. Let's see this initiation. Boom, goes right for that first outside zone. Now going to second outside zone. Let's watch this transition right in there. Frederick Aasbo giving him a little bit, maybe too much room, and just as I say that, he closed the door. Simon Olsen looks like he DBs that back left. He hits that wall, but as long as he powers through this, the second portion of this battle, he finishes out, and Simon Olsen and Freddie go back and forth, banging doors. Let them know you're here, St. Louis. Yo, the Norwegians, the Vikings, are doing battle.
I think where the rubber meets the road is whatever the way that outside zone 4 is judged is going to be the deciding factor here. Let's take a look at this run. Olsen in the lead. Quick snap. Aasbo right there in the pocket. Transitioning back around. Another great transition from Olsen. Like mid-line through outside zone 2. 3, beautiful job. Great execution. Taps the wall. Beautiful mimic from Aasbo there and closes up shop right across the finish line. So I think that first run is going to be the run that will be the deciding factor, depending on how the judges take a look at that and put that into the overall scheme of things. You can see Aasbo was a little bit on inside of outside zone 2, but for me, that's a lesser than what transpired in outside zone 4.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, we are splitting hairs. I mean, these two gentlemen definitely deserve to be on the podium. The driving right there, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Again, that mental fortitude to just really coalesce, come together, and fight for it. So again, whoever loses here should definitely hold their head high because they're still getting 3rd place. Frederick Aasbo gets the win and the points lead, gets knocked down 32 in New Jersey, and gets redemption and being reversed. So this is wash, null, and void. This is basically a rerun here. Odi Bakchis will lead, Chris Forsberg giving chase. Now we'll find out who is going against Frederick Aasbo in the finals. Odi Bakchis coming through in that start chicane, now transitioning in, and then coming to that first outside zone. Chris Forsberg giving chase, transitioning now into that second outside zone. Goes Chris before it's Forsberg. Odi Bakchis, a bit of separation here between Odi Bakchis and Forsberg. Now coming to that last outside zone. Both of them transitioning fluidly into that last, again, zone.
You have to really wonder about the psychology of Odi Bakchis here. I mean, he was literally sitting on the sidelines for 10 or maybe 15 minutes with the assumption that he was in the finals against Aasbo or Olsen. Now, you can either go one or two directions. You can let that overcome you and not perform, or you can use that as underlying motivation. It appears to me he's using that as underlying motivation as he gaps Forsberg here through outside zone 3 and is doing a tremendous job in the lead position just right at the edge of outside zone 4 there. Here's the initiation, and you can see just right there on that first outside zone, both cars pretty close together, very smooth. And as we finish up the run here, Forsberg's a little bit on the inside. Jared, are you hearing something?
Yeah, I'm hearing that Odi Bakchis is calling a competition timeout. So it looks like Amy Bakchis, she informed us that he is calling a comp timeout. Didn't seem like anything was wrong with the car, but maybe a good utilization of time. Just get it dialed, get it more prepped. Forsberg can't do anything. Basically, he's gonna wait. You know, he can call. I don't think Forsberg used his comp timeout previously. No, he did not. So, I mean, if he wanted to, he could use it. It might behoove him, or you just never know what's going to happen if he feels confident in it.
Besides that, what was your impression of the run?
Absolutely. I agree with you. I like that, using that motivation, that time kind of sitting, chilling on ice. I mean, even right before we announced it, he was thinking about going against Aasbo, talking to Lorette Nickel, right? Lorette's asking him the questions, and he's saying, I'm ready to go. Just one more driver to knock down. Nope, not the case. So, again, back in the cockpit. Coincidentally, Odi Bakchis was in my area around 4th of July weekend. Him and his daughter were karting, and we live fairly close, and he was just in my area. So, hey, come on by. And we had a great conversation about his season, where he's at, what's going on. And he's a very talented driver, and having those, again, all that mind share and all those assets between Ben Hobson and, of course, Simon Olsen, I think this all contributes to just a richer program with just all this wealth, all this, equity, and I think all of it just adds to the brand that is Odi Bakchis, and he's gained a lot of fans over the years. But as far as here tonight, the mindset, you see Lorette Nickel giving Ben Hobson a hug back there. The support is thick, but overall, so Kevin Wells, what's the conversation here, basically?
There's definitely a little bit of movement down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Off to the right-hand side, you can see the guy that's got his hand up to his face. That's Kevin Wells, the competition director, standing next to Lorette Nickel. You've got Odie's team, Simon Olsen in the background.
Hey, that's Hobson in the hat. What's going on here? Oh, so they're saying if it's a shared fault, he gets a shared 10? But, oh boy. The shared fault off of that first battle?
Oh, man.
Or are you saying there's a shared fault right now? When did Forsberg call? Oh, comp timeout on when he had that. Yes, you're right. Oh, that would definitely be the case. So yeah, now that we're defecting back to advance on, did Odie Bakchis, what did he do? Let's send it. Let's find out who's going against Frederick Aasbo in the finals. After a protest was implemented, here goes Chris on initiation, goes to that first outside zone. Odie Bakchis dropping into formation. Big, massive angle here from Chris Forsberg. Looks like he comes in on the inside, short sheets it a little bit, now into that third outside zone. Coming to that last outside zone, here goes Forsberg, here comes Odie. And it looks like Forsberg comes across, and Odie barely misses the nose.
There's definitely, as we take a close look, there seems to be a little bit of irony in the second half of this run. Watch Forsberg's lights through outside zone 1. You can see here, red, 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 almost through 3/4 of the run. Now, it doesn't seem to affect Odie, but obviously that was where we got to the overturn, right?
Yep.
Now, I don't know that that's even going to play a huge factor, because right here we see Chris nearly go 2 tires off there towards the end.
And he was really short on that outside zone 2. Watch outside zone 2.
Super short. Here's outside zone 1 again, transitioning back to the smoke line. Odie seems to be using this as underlying motivation to get him through this run. The crazy turn of events. And there it is. And hopefully we've got ourselves a winner.
Yeah, you know, it's by no means do I feel that the Forsberg team grasped at straws. I think they were utilizing, you know, the rules, and here it is. So even though it gets, you know, reversed, Odie Bakchis still stands on top of this battle. So Odie is going to the finals. The call was reversed, but now it has been made blatantly clear that Odie Bakchis and Aasbo are in the finals, Ryan.
Yeah, I don't blame Forsberg's team at all. I mean, they are using the system that we've decided to put in place, and
Absolutely.
so, you know, you can't blame teams for utilizing everything that's at their disposal. At the same time, obviously, if you're Odie Bakchis and you're sitting on the other side of it, you know, purely from a psychological perspective, you're preparing for Frederick Aasbo or Simon Olsen, and then, you know, somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, "Hey, bud, gotta have to do that again."
Right. Yep. All right. Well, let's go to break. Potentially one last time. I don't want to curse it, but you can see the GT radials being thrown out back. Don't go anywhere. When we come back up, Odie Bakchis or will Frederick Aasbo.
We should lock the one more time button.
Ryan's meaning let's not go one more time. Come on, boys. Let's get a winner. Signed, sealed, delivered. Send it. Come on. Odie Bakchis initiates in that first outside zone, hammering down on the throttle. Good angle here from Odie Bakchis. Frederick Aasbo, you talk about peaking and getting out there. Is Frederick Aasbo peaking right now, or is Odie Bakchis really good execution on that third outside zone? There goes Odie Bakchis in that last outside zone. Tell you what, seems like they tuned it up just a little bit. Give it that little extra sauce. Maybe they cut some body weight there and all the panels missing. But overall, that was a really good lead run from Odie Bakchis.
Yeah, the open question of, you know, how does Odie deal with a situation like he did? Is it like a Tom Cruise freak out in Jerry Maguire, or does he really use that to his advantage? He seems to be using that to his advantage here. very smooth and consistent. Gets into the beginning of outside zone 2 right towards the edge, but then moves back, and now he starts gapping Aasbo a little bit here. I mean, when does that really happen? Not very often.
No.
Keeps that rear wheel right at the edge of outside zone 4 and finishes up strong. Here's another look from the FPV. Right to the edge of outside zone 1 from Bakchis. Aasbo cutting through that smoke line. Pretty close on proximity there. Gets on the throttle. Huge plume of smoke being emitted. Gaps Aasbo for a little bit, and then right into outside zone 4 to finish up strong.
And Ryan, you keep talking about Odie and that mental fortitude and kind of just rising to the occasion. Look at Frederick Aasbo. I mean, you know, his path has not been easy here, you know, between Alec Robbins and then he had to go through Thorne and then Jonathan Hurst, and then not once, not twice, but 3 one more time against Simon Olsen. So, you know, that perseverance and that attitude and that wherewithal, kudos to him as well. It hasn't come easy at all.
What champions are made of.
Exactly. So here we go. 3-time champion Frederick Aasbo. He now leads that Rockstar Energy Drink, Toyota GR Supra, and also the points lead here in St. Louis. But he'd love to cap it with an overall win here in St. Louis. Into that second outside zone goes Frederick Aasbo. Look at the proximity from Bakchis. Going to that third outside zone. Frederick Aasbo uses all of it. Now that last and final outside zone, filling all of it. Bakchis not as deep as Frederick Aasbo. All right, so again, taking a look. So again, Bakchis, Frederick Aasbo. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, let's get a look here. Aasbo initiates. Odie's right there from the onset. Aasbo clears outside zone 1, gets into outside zone 2. Maybe got a little bit deeper than Odie, but Odie is not letting him get away. This is where we saw a little bit of a gap there. But on this last section, if Aasbo gets any back, it's on this section of the course right here. Odie's a little bit shallower, was back just for a hair. So is there enough for the judges to make a decision on those 2 runs? Oh, wow, I heard a yes, sir. Making it real clear.
I heard a yes, sir. Yep, so no one more times. The event is over. We have a new winner at round 5. That is guaranteed. Who is it? We'll find out. We'll bring them in front of the stands. For those hardcore fans that stuck around, thank you. For the fans tuning in around the world, I know Norway's going nuts right now. Again, Simon Olsen will join them. Get in your car, get over here, boys. Send them over there in front of the bleachers. All right, bring them up here in front of the stands. We do have a winner. We'll announce it here. We'll give out the trophies at the podium ceremony. After this, thank you guys and gals for joining us out here. And Simon Olsen, see him ripping down here, joining his field suspension teammate. Some great battles. Again, fans from all across the globe, be sure to join us for our next round of competition in Seattle. Here's some celebratory Bernies from the boys, 1 and 2. Frederick Aasbo, Bakchis, and Simon Olsen, your 3 podium finishers. In what order? You're about to find out. Let's see what we got here. Bring them all down. Again, we have Seattle after this, Utah, and then Irwindale, California, the House of Drift. Who do you guys think it is? The Norwegian flag is there, cheering on Simon Olsen. But will the Norwegian flag be on top? Again, 5 rounds now, 5 different winners. We saw Matt Field get the win in Long Beach. Then we saw Vaughn Gittin Jr. come back on his first event, and the only event we've seen he wins in Atlanta. Chelsea Denofa, 3-peat. I got it. And after Chelsea Denofa, Adam LZ wins in New Jersey. There's your 3 vehicles as they step outside of their car. Look at the smile still on their faces. So 3rd place as he steps outside of his vehicle, 3rd place. There he is again, a Norwegian battle there. And there they are, the field suspension guys. 3rd place here at round 5 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Got 2nd place in New Jersey. Make some noise for Simon Olsen. Giving a tap to that field suspension S chassis. And now your winner here at round 5 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Again, bears repeating. We saw Field, we saw Gittin, we saw Denofa, we saw LZ, and now here at round 5, a new winner. And that winner is, unanimously, Bakchis gets the win unanimously. Bakchis gets the win unanimously, and that means 2nd place goes to the Rockstar Energy Drink pilot that is Frederick the Norwegian Hammer Aasbo. It's a win-win in pro spec for Ben Hobson, Bakchis in pro, and Simon Olsen getting that final podium spot here in pro. Without further ado, Lorette Nickel, down to you. Congratulations to Bakchis. What does he have to say?
Odie's last wins came in 2021, and your last win was at Irwindale. That year you had 3 wins. You have been searching for that win ever since. Odie, it looked like with all the strife that you had, you just focused and put down the best possible runs.
Yeah, I mean, it was challenging, that's for damn sure. These guys are on it. So yeah, the boys, my team just kept the cars going. Simon and I were beating up our cars. My whole crew had to not only work on my car, on Simon's car, so they put in the work tonight, you know, and I got to drive and smile behind the wheel. So huge thank you to my crew. They're absolutely killing it. And we got a hell of a team, and I'm really, really enjoying how it's all coming together.
Absolutely. Besides your team, what can you pinpoint to what was working so well with your driving and your car here tonight?
You know, honestly, I think we just had the setup correct. We had a really good baseline going into this round, and then we were very attentive. You know, we had guys on our team that were adjusting it. Chris is always pushing us to do more and more, and we made some changes, strategized, and just dialed cars. And you can see it with, you know, Ben Hobson and Pro Spec, and then Simon, and then me. Just good setup.
I love that, and I love that smile. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for your winner, St. Louis, Bakchis. And of course, he has finished 2nd. Congratulations, Frederick. What that means now is that you've moved into the lead of the championship. So it looks like that reset has really worked for you, and now you have that momentum to carry you forward.
That's awesome. That's what my mom told me to come here and do, you know, try and get back in the lead. And we were fighting a little bit in practice, but we got back on the horse, and I think the highlight today was battling Simon. That was, how good of a driver is Simon, people?
Now, you said you were battling in practice. What were you battling against?
I was trying to figure out that corner 1. I was struggling with that all weekend long, dropping tires or too far in, and somehow it started clicking against Simon. So that was not a second too late. And against Odie, I was trying to do the same, but he had such a rocket ship out of turn 2, so I simply could not hang.
Well, congratulations on 2nd place. Ladies and gentlemen, get loud. Frederick Aasbo finishes 2nd.
Thank you so much, Lorette Nickel. And again, I know you don't have, you know, we'll talk to Simon Olsen on the podium, but what a day, a long day, you know. And from Thursday to yesterday with Pro Spec, congratulations to Ben Hobson winning. We pushed because of Mother Nature. Ryan, your closing thoughts as far as, I'm going to be up on the podium giving out those trophies, but your thoughts?
You know, this sport never ceases to amaze me. It's been an incredible evening, ups, downs, sideways, left, right. I got to tell you how much I appreciate what you've done here. You've literally been talking since 9:30 this morning, and now you're going to go do it again. So good on you, buddy.
Thank you.
And congratulations to all the drivers.
Hats off to the judges.
Oh, my
again,
gosh.
The
yeah,
judges,
just
as
insane.
you said, a lot of back and forth, reversing a call one more times. Mother Nature, last night you're stressed out. Let's just call it what it is. Between the rain, maybe making a truncated track. We love it all, so thank you so much.
We went into deep waters.
Yeah, we literally treaded deep waters. Guess what? We'll see you in Seattle. Thank you so much. Congratulations to Odi Bakchis. That man wins here, round 5 in St. Louis. That's right. We'll see him on the box. Thank you to the fans, both in the building and in the stands. Let's give out some trophies. And again, we'll see you in Seattle. On behalf of the whole Formula Drift staff, my name's Jared Dienda. Send it. We'll see you online, or we'll see you another time. And we'll see you in Seattle.
Championship.